Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, I'm here, I'm saying some things to check the sound level. I'm sort of walking around to some different places to see how it is. I'm walking over here. What? Yeah.
skin shine bright and fade, and waves upon the shore, like a pool in a sea of liquid jaded ship comes shining like a crystal swan in a sky of suns. His ship comes shining.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I can talk to you.
is,
You know, I think I still need the monitors. It's throwing me off when I hear myself more. Right. Okay. I'm good. Thanks.
they are included in Zoom.
Yeah. It's weird.
But don't.
No, it wasn't this.
And I tell,
Yes. No, and I'm gonna.
Yeah.
You're there.
Just,
down.
yeah, just don't.
This is very light.
Gislina, do you know if Arn's coming? Do you know if Arn is coming?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I haven't
That's,
seen him.
that's okay, but you're not, Debbie's coming?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we thought of reserving that spot for her.
Great.
We have another person who's coming in a motorized wheelchair, and that gives them a bit more space over there.
Yeah.
So when you see her, maybe let her know.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
I'll text
And we're
her
gonna, yeah, and we're gonna, I'm keeping that spot for Arn if he does come, but if
Okay,
not,
great.
we'll just free it up.
I'll text her to see if he's coming.
Okay. So I'm just gonna leave this with you, but it's, I'm gonna take it. You know what, thinking about this thing is easier than.
Are we giving out cards,
No,
or
they're doing that.
they're just they're doing it
So
at
I think
times?
they're done soon. They disappeared.
So I think Evan was supposed to be the opening the door guy.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not
They're just getting the slideshow set up. Where, Emma, you're getting the music set up?
Yeah, they'll fit. Yeah. Thanks. Are those for people that are retired?
Actually, if there's any reserve seats, they're the only row that has costs. I honestly don't know what these seats are for. So if you have a reserve seat, just submit it.
Are you sort of supervising or just hanging around? Is she okay there? Okay.
What they've done is they reserve.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Mom, are you on your own or? Oh, these reserves here, is there?
This I'm not too sure about.
There's 3 seats.
the taste for being free. Thank God he sent some gold-shaped ship to carry me to sea. 2,000 years and half a world away. Dying trees still grow greener when you pray. Silver scales shine bright and fade in weeds upon the shore, like a pearl in a sea of liquid jade. His ship comes shining like a crystal swan in a sky of suns. His ship comes shining.
Thank you, Ollie, for that beautiful song. And a gentle reminder to please turn your cell phones off. My name is Marianne Isaac, and I'm Cal's first cousin. I'm also a pastor at River East Church here in Winnipeg. Thank you for coming this evening. We are here to remember Calvin Lorne Berg, beloved husband of Laura Schrader, father to Emma and Kate, brother to Arnie, Waldo, and Karma, as well as in-law and uncle, cousin, colleague, and comrade to many, many people. Most of nature does not stop for death, but we humans do. And that's what we're doing today. Each one here has stopped what you've been doing, and we've gathered here because we loved, respected, and were connected in some way to Cal. And today what we're doing is we are accompanying him on a journey to his final resting place in the earth, and a somewhat more amorphous journey to the new reality of his existence. And as we walk with Cal on this journey, we pause with him here in this theater. And we pause to do several things together. First, we're going to celebrate his life. We'll tell stories of the way he's impacted people and hear songs that he loved. Secondly, the reason we gather is to express our grief together. And as we express our grief at the loss, we also offer comfort to one another, and especially to Laura and Emma and Kate. And thirdly, we gather to reaffirm the conviction that death is not the end of Cal's story. Cal is part of a wide network of people who have various understandings of what happens after death. And it is the family's wish that this evening, each of you experience a deepening of the hope that comes from your convictions. Cal was nurtured in a family context where there was a deep trust in faith, in God who created the world, a God who shows us who God is and what God is like through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, a man who lived 2,000 years and half a world away. And as I pray this evening, I'm going to begin the prayer with a prayer that comes from Kel's family context. It was a prayer recorded by his brother-in-law Cornelius Buller on his phone just before he died. And then I will continue to pray, continue the prayer after that. And so I invite those of you who are comfortable to bow with me as I pray. God, you are alive. We live in the light of the grace and love and joy, of the hope and the glory that you bring in a multicolored, variegated, amazing world and universe, with races that are red and yellow, black and white, and all kinds of colors in between, of all kinds of languages and ethnicities and beliefs. And from each one we can learn about you, God, because you are here to meet us everywhere. You surround us. As life is this crazy, wild adventure, help us to walk in faith, in hope, in love, and joy of all that you are and all that you've created us to live within. The mystery, the wonder, the glory, the richness. Alleluia, it's overwhelming. May we know you and ourselves to be so profoundly and deeply loved in this way, created for life with you and with each other, each revealing you to each other in generosity and love and kindness and forgiveness, always ready to be gracious and kind and full of love and hope and joy and laughter and peace, celebrating your beauty. God, you are the author of life on both sides of death. This evening, grant us your light to shine through the shadows of this hour. Comfort the hearts that are heavy with sorrow. Give us the peace that goes deeper than our understanding as we continue without Kel among us. Calm our anxiety and fear as we face the reality of our own mortality. And grant us a vision of your eternal love. Console us with the hope of larger life beyond. And this we pray through Jesus Christ. Amen. We will continue with the obituary and tributes.
Hi, my name is Arnie Berg. I am Kel's oldest brother. And when I think back on Kel's earlier years, a flood of memories comes to mind, some half forgotten, until someone helps jog them. And I'm especially thankful to my brother Waldo and to Laura, who helped me recover and relive many of these memories. I was 16 when Mom and Dad brought baby Kel back from the hospital, and we watched him grow into a fun-loving, happy-go-lucky child. Kel and Karen were born about a half generation after Waldo, Vernell, and myself, and with them came a whole new family vibe. The strict law and order atmosphere we grew up in slowly gave way to something looser, lighter, and a lot more fun, much to everybody's enjoyment, including our parents. When I think back on Kel's early life, what comes to mind first are the stories that reveal his humor, his authenticity, and the way he lived with a kind of unself-conscious joy. During the year the family lived in Elbow, back in those blissful pre-helicopter parenting days, 5-year-old Kel ruled the town from the saddle of his tricycle. No license, no helmet, and no speed limit. Years later, in a grade 10 assignment, he looked back on one of those epic road trips. In Kel's own words, he wrote, "One time I was driving to my friend's house on my tricycle, and I got lost somewhere, ending up somewhere far out of town, in the middle of the highway. I just stopped there, turned my tricycle upside down, and waited. A trucker then stopped and asked me what I was doing there. And after telling him I was sorry, I told him that I had a flat tire. I had run out of gas, and I had lost my keys." He then took the tricycle and myself, put them in his truck, and gave me a ride home. Already at that age, he had a knack for mixing imagination with a sense of drama. I'll never forget the day when Karen and Kel burst into the room, both of them cross-dressed to the nines, caked in theatrical makeup, and launched into a flawless, word-for-word Fabergé commercial, complete with dramatic pauses and exaggerated hand gestures. It was ridiculous, it was brilliant, and it was the moment that Kel began his long and illustrious career in drama. Though I don't think Fabergé ever paid him a dime. Waldo described Kel as a kindred spirit brother who combined fun-loving, happy-go-lucky energy with a deep authenticity and generosity. He said Kel had zero tolerance for hypocrisy and lived in a way that said, "What you see is what you get." And those words capture the Kel I remember in his younger years, humble and utterly himself. Consistently, when Waldo would return home from attending Bethany Bible School, little Kel would come tearing down the hallway, sometimes even launching himself from the top of the stairs and hurling his body into Waldo's arms with complete trust. That reckless abandon, that confidence that he would be caught and embraced, that's who Kel was. He trusted, he loved, and he gave himself fully to the moment. Another story from the 4 years living and schooling at Black Forest Academy in Germany has become a family legend. As a novice driver, Kel backed up a car without realizing the back door was still open. He hit a pole and ripped the whole door right off. It was a disaster at the moment, but in true Kel fashion, it became a story retold with laughter, humility, and the ability to laugh at himself. That was part of his gift. He never took himself too seriously, and he didn't let mistakes define him. Even in his early letters, Kel's voice shows through. After he left home, he wrote to Mum about how life isn't meant to be easy, that opposition and conflict are part of how we grow, part of God's way of shaping us. He was only 22, yet he wrote about honesty, authenticity, and the importance of living true to who you are. That was Kel, always thoughtful, always growing, and always real. Only Kel could make something as ordinary as duct tape into a treasured gift for me after it had been signed by the real Red Green. And though his early stories make us laugh, they also remind us of the heart behind them. A boy, then a man, who threw himself fully into life and into the arms of those he loved. With absolute trust and authenticity, Kel was our brother, our friend, our joy. He lived life with imagination, humor, and deep relational love. Your life, Kel, exemplified the reality that the only thing we can take with us to the other side of death is our friends. In the end, the stuff of life that many people seem to think is so important means absolutely nothing. Your life preached this message loudly and clearly, and we thank you for it. You are truly one of a kind.
considering how to approach the telling of Kel's life here this evening, I came to the realization that there's not enough words to adequately describe his impact on our lives. It's the small things we will miss the most. The giggle, the boyish excitement he brought to almost everything he took on, the uniting force he carried with him when he walked into a room, the ability he had to talk to anyone and convince them about just about anything was a good idea, the helping hand he freely offered to all. So I decided that with the help of some of his friends, I would lay out a chronology of sorts, and hopefully through that show who he was. As much as I've tried to keep things accurate, I know that their timelines are out of order, people I've missed, moments left undescribed. My hope is that this will be a starting point for the stories we will share with each other this evening. Kel was born on December 21st, 1966. His early years were spent in Hepburn, Saskatchewan, with 2 years spent in Elbow. For his high school years, Kel, his sister Karen, and their parents moved to Germany, where he attended the Black Forest Academy. The family returned to Canada, and Kel completed grade 12 in Hepburn. Following graduation, he spent 1 year at Bethany Bible College, and then he moved himself to Winnipeg in 1985. I met Kel in the summer of 1987. Having recently moved to Winnipeg myself, I was attending the now so-called Soca Reggae Festival. Thank you. Being held in Vineyard Ridge Park. Not knowing anyone there, I saw a blonde head in the crowd smiling at me welcomingly. I sat down beside him on the grass and asked him if he knew who was on stage. Monuments galore, he replied. And so, a 38-year conversation was started. Having just been accepted to the U of W theater program, I convinced him that afternoon to quit his job at Palace of Furniture, where he was a data entry guy, and join me at U of W that fall by promising it's way better there and there's lots of girls. It was not long before we were deeply immersed in the world of theater. For the next 5 years or so, we learned the art of stagecraft at university and worked on calls with virtually every company in Winnipeg. I remember one cold winter day when we were complaining about having to wear jeans in the grid because you couldn't move around. The next day, both of us, summer shorts and long johns. It wasn't long before that was our normal attire. In 1989, Kel got involved in the Winnipeg Fringe Festival, at first as a venue technician. He continued to work for the Fringe until 1985 as the assistant technical director, then the technical director, and finally as a technical consultant. In those days, the Fringe was a new way to present theater to the city of Winnipeg. The abundance of international performers and the festive atmosphere created a moth to the flame effect for all of us, and Kel was no exception. There were so many shows to see, many songs to sing at the daily after parties, and chorus girls to impress. The festival became a focal point of our summers for many years, not only for the good times and the paycheck, but for an opportunity to be involved in theater that pushed the boundaries of what was expected. As a result, it was not hard for me to convince him and our friend Rick to take a truck full of borrowed gear to the Swift Fringe Festival. Where we set up in venues in the local bar, an unused movie theater, and Masonic Lodge. Our audience included abundance of Hutterites who were not allowed to enter, but were gathered just outside the beer garden fence to watch the outdoor stage. I'm certain they had an experience that was completely out of their comfort zone. Those early days, in those early days of theater, bringing theater to unsuspecting crowds inspired all of us involved. I remember having conversations with Kel about how this was a way to bring the paradigm-changing world of theater to those who may never have had the opportunity to experience it, and how one changed attitude towards world perception could ripple outwards and change how the world accepts and respects the diversity of people. Even as recently as last month, this topic was still the focus of our conversations. From 1991 through 1997, Kel worked at Prairie Theatre Exchange. First, the lighting technician, and later he added the duties of sound technician as well. I know that during his years here at PTE, he made many lifelong friends and was known for his antics, his friendship, and hard work. With his black safety glasses and his charming grin, he definitely brought a positive energy to work. Here too, he was proud to be a part of theatre that would challenge the status quo in regards to the perception of mental health, aging, social status, colonialism, and the diversity of the human experience. Of course, there was also much fun to be had. There was a camping trip to Crow Duck Lake, where Kel masterminded a plan using a remotely controlled light that ran on batteries, something that Peter had built for a show, I believe. Unknown to all the women in the camping party, the guys transported and set up the light near their remote campsite. This was a boat-in campsite only. Later that night, when they were all by the fire, Kel turned the light on and off intermittently, causing general panic and a confusion among the women, but much to the delight of the men. Buddy systems were established for bathroom trips, and speculation as to the cause of the light, spontaneous phosphorus ignition, alien attack, paranormal. They were all among the favorite theories that night, and for the following weeks until finally the cat was let out of the bag. In 1995 and 96, Kel was the production coordinator at Shakespeare in the Ruins. This was summer outdoor theater at its finest. I think most of the shows involved blood, torches, and pyrotechnics. And while the backstage and after parties were almost legendary, I think it's safe to say that not all the adventure was at the ruins. One of the most significant offstage adventures was the wedding of Kel and Laura. On September 2nd, 1995, Kel and Laura were married at a ceremony at the Schroeder family farm, an event that was memorable for many of us here today. It brought together families and friends and focused on the bonds focused on the bonds between community and our personal lives. Soon after the wedding, Emma was born in March of 96, followed by Kate in December of 97. Kel was always very proud of his family, and much of our conversations revolved around our families. In 1998, Kel started with Manitoba Lotteries as the production stage manager at the McPhillips Street Station. During his 27-year career there, he also worked as the shift supervisor for the facilities department, and finally in the corporate property services department as the building and maintenance supervisor. Kel got to interact with many performers while being stage manager. He made a point of having performers such as John Prine, Marty Stewart, and Tommy Hunter, Roy Clark, and many others sign his Danelecto bass, which is right here beside us. Music was always a huge part of Kel's life. From singing in church growing up to playing guitar and singing the songs he loved most as an adult. Neil Young, John Prine, Ladybug Picnic, Dire Straits, Bruce Coburn, and many others were a constant part of his repertoire. If there was a guitar lying around, he was apt to find it and start playing. While working at the station, Kel met a musician, Chris Bigford, who introduced Kel to his brother, Tom Bigford, all guitar players. Tom's basement became a favorite place to jam, and eventually, after many weekends of renovations, the basement became Tom's Tavern. A place where friends could meet to watch the game, or jam on the permanently set up band rig in a corner, or play a round of video golf. For the next few decades, meeting at Tom's Tavern on Friday night was almost assumed. Kel and Laura moved into their home in Wolseley, and while their kids grew, so did their experiences, making many family road trips to the Schroeder cabin and to visit the Bergs in Saskatchewan. Family vacations were often with others, like the Sansons and the McPhersons. Rick tells of a trip their families took to Florida theme parks in 2010. Having just come off their first ride, the Tower of Terror, Kel's excitement was so palpable that the ride operator let them skip the line and go again. At another point during that trip, Kel, having missed his turn, proceeded to drive his family in the rental car through a wide ditch to another road to get back on course. In the early 2010s, Kel realized his dream of owning a vintage sports car when he bought his MG midget named Madge. Paul McLeod, who owns a shop that specializes in British and European classic cars, tells of how one day, out of nowhere, Kel, excuse me, one day out of nowhere, Kel walked into his shop carrying a backpack, having come straight from the airport, where after an unsuccessful trip to look at a midget out of province. One moment, I have a drink of water. By chance, Paul had one for sale. Kel bought it on the spot with no haggle, and then took beers out of his backpack to share and seal the deal. For the next 12 years, Kel was a regular at the shop, spending up to 2 days a week working on cars, helping with general duties. He was there so often that many customers thought he was an employee. He became a member of the British Car Club in Winnipeg and enjoyed showing and collecting British classic cars. Because of Kel's upbringing in rural Saskatchewan and all the hours he spent at his Uncle Dan's farm driving tractor, Kel had a strong bond with the land. He enjoyed camping and working outside. Many times he said to me, "I have a couple of days next week. If I come out, is there something I can work on?" My answer was always yes. These are the times where we connected the most, working together on projects and enjoying the peace the land offered, and talking about the things that mattered the most: family, friends, and the riders. Kel was an avid sports fan. Football, hockey, golf, F1 racing, all captured his attention. Friday nights were spent at the tavern watching whatever sport was in season with friends. Summer was golfing season. He played up to 60 rounds per summer. I often heard him say jokingly that one of his life goals was to maintain a mediocre golf swing. In the summer of 2016, Kel and 3 friends took a trip to Montreal to watch the F1 races there. The stories from that trip and the adventures that were had came up in conversation regularly. There are annual televised sporting events that became assumed gatherings at Tom's Tavern. The Labor Day Classic and the following Banjo Bowl, with the obligatory $5 bet with Rick. The Grey Cup Party, the Super Bowl Party, NHL playoff hockey pool, numerous golf tournaments, F1 races, all centered around time spent with friends. These memories are just barely scratched the surface of what comes to our collective minds when we think of Kel. His commitment to community, cultural and lifestyle diversity, his caring attitude towards his family and his friends, his love of music, his quick sense of humor, and his commitment to not accepting the cultural norm if it opposed the freedom of others. I know these are the things that we will miss the most about our friend, husband, father, uncle, and brother. I'd like to end with a quote from John Prine from the interview in the Pitchfork magazine. I just have to pull it up on my phone. Let's try with this. There we go. In this article, he was talking about death. Realizing that you're not going to see that person again is always the most difficult part about it. But that feeling settles. And then you're glad you had that person in your life. And then the happiness and the sadness get all swirled up inside you. And then you're this great, awful candy bar, walking around in a pair of shoes. everybody. So many memories in this room. My name's Alan. I'll just launch right into it. Looking back, I believe Kel and I shared a love language. And Jeff, Ricky, where are you? Rudy, I think you shared it too. It was acts of service. Kel was always thinking and doing what would help others, probably at times to his detriment. I admired how he would do that, not just for people he knew, but for complete strangers. And Laura, I have to figure that you loved and shared this because I see that generosity in Kate. We met in 1990, right here, when I hired Kel for a gig, thanks to the fact that he happened to be unemployed at the time. Like many theater companies, we helped offset some salaries with federal and provincial grants designed to employ people who needed work. Little did I know that, like so many others, Kel and I were about to become as close as two cis male hetero dudes could become. Our friendship deepened when we both became parents. Our families grew up together. Our daughter, JD, was born 6 weeks before Emma. Many people mistook them for siblings when they were toddlers. And the friendship that's grown between the two of them is one of my great joys. When Kate arrived, it was like God had given the world another Kel. The ties between our families are amongst the most important in my life. And after we moved away, a visit with the Schroederbergs was a mandatory stop whenever we managed to come back for a visit. Kel and I continued to bond when circumstances would allow in the garage and visited each other's cottages. I so cherish those times, and Laura, we will have more. I was honored that Kel felt he could find me not just when times were good, but when they also weren't so good. We were a stop, our house was a stop on one of his couch surfing phases. And I was so happy when he finally got Laura to date him. I remember his excitement and his profound happiness. He had admired Laura for a long time. He lived for a while in a semi-finished basement apartment on Balmoral, where he introduced me to the stand-up comedian Tim Allen. Became part of Winnipeg's theater production lexicon, like so many other sayings of Kel's. It joined the Spanglish that he and Jeff and I would use with each other. Kel much preferred to call people by the sobriquets he had chosen for them rather than their names. Mine was my cheese, among others. I hope someday to hear what he called me in conversation with other people when I wasn't around, though perhaps I'd be better off if I did. And Kel got as good as he gave in the nickname department. Kel Bean and Kedge were among several used by me and others over the years. Kel was a natural leader, thanks to his undeniable humor and charisma. Everyone wanted to be wherever Kel was, because it was bound to be a good time. It was also because he was so intelligent and he could so quickly see the big picture. He was adept at organizing things and making them more efficient. He was gifted with a strategic mind that I was not alone in admiring. Kel taught me about community, like many of my Winnipeg friends. As our circle grew up, got married, bought homes, had kids, I took a lot of pride in joining Kel and the rest of our theater tribe for the associated rites of passage, namely moves and weddings. It was a great experience helping with Kel and Laura's wedding in particular. One of the things, as Rudy and others have said, I'll miss most is the laughter. Kel could and would make anyone laugh, regardless of the situation. Kel was someone you wanted to be around. He turned me on to darts for months, playing right over there in the shop. And I would pathetically play during the show on my own, just so we could hang and have some beer and throw some more darts after the show in the shop. We would be shooting pucks, as Kel called it. Pucks could be darts, it could be golf, it could be whatever Kel decided the metaphor was appropriate for. Nice puck. That's the ultimate compliment. And like his fun with spoken language, Kel had a delightful repertoire of body language that I can't help but smile at when I think of it. This is one of my faves. So let's say we're outside a movie theater and it's pouring rain and we're waiting to get in. Sure hope the movie doesn't suck. Another was, hey Kel, this is something you need to know about. Check. Kel taught me the importance of being present with people. When you talk to him, especially about a problem, he instantly grasped what you were feeling and he gave that back to you to say, I get it. Life to Kel was for cramming into it as much fun and laughter as possible. It didn't matter how busy we were. There was always time for fun. We bought this device that's become ubiquitous in theaters and offices. It's a label maker called the P-Touch. Well, when we got one, Kel went to town with it. The primary and the backup consoles that I'm sure have long been replaced that were from Sweden up in the booth were now Mother Bjord and Other Bjord. The booth phone was labeled, as was the fluorescent tube above it. I take a small bit of solace in knowing that Kel knew how important he was to me, because I had the presence of mind I had the presence of time regularly to tell him. The world's diminished for me without him in it. I hope to fill the darkness with the light that Kel gave me and everybody he knew. Hasta luego.
My name's Neil. I first got to know Cal in the fall of 1984 at Bethany Bible Institute. And then we both ended up here a year later. That was a good move, I think.
My name is Ole Backstrom, and I also met Kel in 1984 at Bethany Bible Institute. Neil and I were reminiscing a little bit, and my first memory of Kel is he would lead songs, and would he ever sing to you "Walk as I Walk"? I was wondering if he'd ever pull that out. Let's give a hand for "Walk as I Walk." Anyways, his charisma, his musicality, and his silly nature were evident right away, and I thought, I think we're going to get along pretty well. And so, oh right, we're going to do a song that I think Kel loved. We do not want to be disrespectful of the moment, but we also want to respect the spirit of Kel. That would be reflected in our solo choice. And neither of us play harmonica, so we went for a plan B for the solo. So bear with us. Yeah, sorry. One. Kel would have wanted me to be in tune. I don't know if he would have been cringing or laughing when I almost. Thank goodness we got that figured out. Okay. One, two, three.
Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. Just like children sleeping, we can dream this night away. But there's a full moon rising. Let's go dancing in the light. We know where the music's playing. Let's go out and feel the light. Because I'm still in love with you. I wanna see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you. On this harvest moon. When we were strangers, I watched you from afar. When we were lovers, I loved you with all my heart. But now it's getting late, and the moon is climbing high. I wanna celebrate, see it shining in your eye. Because I'm still in love with you. I wanna see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you. On this harvest moon. because I'm still in love with you. I wanna see you dance again, because I'm still in love with you. On this harvest moon.
There's some people I met for the first time today. And I remember going to Kel's work probably maybe 12 years after he'd started, and someone had said to me, "Wow, you're real." So I'm Laura. Kel and I met at the University of Winnipeg in the theater department. Thank you, Rudy, for steering him in my direction. We were not in the same year, but we both spent some time working for the department and got to know each other hanging out in Tim Babcock's office. And going through Kel's boxes of memorabilia in these past few weeks, I found a journal entry from that time, which I didn't know he had written. In it, he describes a dream he had, and then his feelings for me, and doubts of whether to share them with me, for fear that I would run away or be scared off. Well, I didn't fall for him instantly. I ran off. But I guess he didn't ever give up complete hope. We were both part of the theater community, and that social circle brought us together over time. And over time, our friendship grew. And when he approached me again, I wrote him a letter, which he also saved. I was afraid that I was too pensive or serious for him. But that was maybe part of the appeal. Kel loved to laugh, and he could be so lighthearted and playful. But underneath, there was a person who thought seriously, loved deeply, and was also a little broken-hearted. Kel lost his best friend and his sister Karen when she died of cancer. He was just 18 and she was only 21, and the grief never left them. He understood sorrow, and with that he developed such a compassion and empathy for those in his life experiencing hard times. I believe Kel moved to Winnipeg to be closer to Karma after Karen died. Karma had also attended Black Forest Academy in Germany, and he and Kel became close friends, roommates, and then brothers when Karma married Karen. Kel's sister Brunel and her husband Cornelius had also moved to Winnipeg, and Kel shared a room with his nephew Stefan when he was born. The Buller family was very important to Kel, and later our family. When I saw how Kel interacted with his nephew Stefan and nieces Lisa and Jolene, I knew he was the man I would marry. Or it could have been when, according to my dear friend Karen, Kel came over with a pumpkin to make homemade pumpkin pie that I was completely won over. We both came from Mennonite families, and that was not an immediate point of attraction for me. Theater being a medium in which I could expand my world, see myself in a different light, walk in somebody else's shoes, open up my world. but it was for Kel too. And our similar stories of valuing extended family, farm life, and a love for the prairies came to be points of connection and understanding. Time for family was a shared priority. Or maybe he didn't anticipate that the Schroeder's version of the 12 days of Christmas meant 13 days of family gatherings. Kel was unconventional, which I loved, and at times irreverent, which I did not always love. When we shared our engagement with my family, I announced that Kel had agreed to become my wife. He was a great partner and a loving father, but not a great wife in the conventional sense. He could cook. He just wasn't interested unless it was making his mom's recipe for noodles and cream sauce or barbecuing, anything but especially steak. And he really didn't care for housework unless it involved a motor of some sort and was outdoors. One of our first adventures was working for Tourism Canada and Tom Jackson's company Tamale in 1995. Tourism Canada wanted to promote Indigenous culture as a draw to explore Canada, and Kel and I both spoke some German, so we were a natural fit. I was the tour coordinator and Kel was the technical production manager. We took a group of artists from across Canada to Dusseldorf and the European Parliament. Maureen Shelley was our stage manager, and in her report, she wrote that the show was a success in large part to the talent of the artists, and secondly, to the expertise and personality of Kel Berg and the determination of myself. That kind of sums up our relationship of the last 30 years. Our greatest joys were welcoming Emma and Kate into the world. I loved when Kel sang to me, to the girls, often just for himself because he loved music. All the Bergs were musical. His dad sang in a quartet. His siblings could all sing and harmonize, especially his sisters Karen and Vernell. Kel sang with the jazz team one summer while at Black Forest Academy, and he also sang in the quartet at Bethany. In Winnipeg, his musical interests were more secular. Played in a band, the Stiff Bishops. Alan mentioned Kel's love of nicknames. Another of Kel's was Kelvis. Not for his dancing. When Kel's sister Vernell developed Alzheimer's, Kel would regularly visit her, sing to her hymns, familiar songs, and she would hum along, still in harmony. After our brother-in-law Cornelius died, and then Vernell, our bond with their children grew stronger. Only Kel, when asked what he would like to be called by his great-nephews, would choose the German version, Gross Uncle Kel. I mean it. Kel was my shelter, he was my buffer. He could speak to anyone and charm them. And I could lean into his shoulder and bask in his company and share in the laughter until my anxiety lessened. In 2015, Kel and I went on our first trip without the girls. The tropical holiday involves beaching, but Kel never learned how to swim. So he sat in the shade, happily working on crosswords while I swam, went kayaking, snorkeling. He always made sure there was a mojito waiting when I got out of the water. And of course, Kel made friends on these trips. Named Cuba, the band, would serenade us every lunch because they loved Kel's total enjoyment of their music. When Kel wanted to tell me something, he often wrote me a message. Aphrodite, in the early days, later years. Dearest, are there any plans for the weekend that I'm forgetting? Which is really code for, can I go golfing Saturday and Sunday? And there's choir practice at Tom's Tavern on Friday night. Choir practice, code for watching a game or jamming during COVID times when choir practice was allowed and other gatherings were not. The name stuck. Kel held the belief that friends are like a second family. They're the family you choose. He was generous and reliable. He would help out with any chores or projects friends and neighbors approached him with. He gave freely of his time, attention, expertise. If you needed assistance, he was a source you could count on. He also cherished his quiet time, and his favorite spot was anywhere comfortable he could do his daily crossword puzzle, which was often the garage. This was a place friends would stop by to visit with Kel and debrief the day, which was most days. Kel also had a special spot at the Schroeder cottage down by the shore, which you've seen, where he sat in the shade, drank his coffee or beer, enjoyed the view, and listened to birdsong. Kel had a knack for disappearing during large gatherings when he needed a break. When I was asked, where had he gone to? I just answered, he's gone on a walkabout, he'll be back.
My name is Emma. I'm the daughter of Kel.
And me. I remember that name. Thank you. Thanks for that. Okay.
I spent the last year traveling in Europe, and I wasn't planning to come home. I'm here now. Something I knew all along, though, is that I could come home anytime if I needed. I have shamelessly bragged to many people that I love living with my parents. I love them. I'm almost 30 and it's really great. They're good roommates and life mates. They never imposed their ideas or beliefs onto me, always allowed me to figure things out for myself and respected my choices, even if they were bad choices. And if I asked, they were always there when I needed them. Sometimes I thought maybe you could have disagreed with me a little more, or pushed me to do some things, but they really never made me do anything in my life at all. I remember when I quit uni and broke up with my boyfriend and I was sitting in the garage with my dad, he said to me, he was proud of me. And he knew I was going to be okay. And I remember thinking, really? Okay, follow my heart. You can take credit for being the bad influence. Yeah. Yeah. It was very meaningful. Now I keep looking around at stuff in the basement and thinking, what are we supposed to do? When will the next light bulb need to be replaced? And when is garbage day? And how do you put gas in a lawnmower? How do you do anything? But I can do these things, and I can feel his presence. It's okay. I was just a bit worried. I won't break the mic, I promise. Okay. Hello. I'm Kate, second spawn of Laura and Kel. And I'm just really grateful for all the people in this room today, and thank you for being present. You are a third of everything I have. This was something Dad said to me after a hard conversation in the garage. As all families have to do from time to time. Not necessarily in a garage, though. Dad is, or was, as deep feeling as he was silly and carefree. In fact, he cared a lot, as we keep hearing. He could talk to anyone in whatever state they were in, but he never boasted about the small or large kindnesses he did for others. He was goofy, but he knew when it was time to be serious. I feel really grateful for the love in this room and beyond, and I can't remember where, but at some point I heard or read that grief is all the love inside us that we didn't get to express to the person that we miss. I've always been told how much I look like my mom. Blessed. But it's been in this last year that more people have told me how I'm also like my dad. And not just with the long blonde hair, but also his humor. One of the qualities I have the privilege of sharing with Dad is our use of music to express ourselves. I'll always remember playing the first song that I wrote that I actually was happy with, a year after I started to teach myself guitar. It was about the deep sadness and loneliness I was feeling. After I finished the song, I looked over to him and I saw tears streaming down his cheeks. "Are you crying?" I asked. "No," was his response, but he clearly was. "I'm weeping," is what he said. Our musical journey together started when Dad would play Ladybug's Picnic, and we would all sing along during our camping trips. And when I began learning flute in grade 7, I joined Dad for his holiday accompaniment on guitar while the family sang Christmas songs. We would do this both for the Winnipeg and Saskatoon Christmases, so you know how many times that was. It's a lot. And our musical journey together face-to-face concluded with an outrageous duet together in the kitchen of More Than Words by Extreme. Mom came into the kitchen wondering what was going on, and we just carried on until the song's conclusion. It didn't matter how silly we were or how we looked. We were freed by the music. Not once did Dad ever make me feel judged for a decision I made, an interest I had, or a feeling I experienced. He showed his love with more than words. He was a silent support I always knew was there. Dad was someone you could bring up for anything. He always knew a guy. Always. He acquired an amp from someone somewhere that he gave to me when I began playing guitar more frequently. If I said I was interested in hair school, he would get a recommendation for a program from his long-term hairdresser. When I was called in a panic because the hood of the minivan flipped up while I was driving and smashed the windshield, he calmed me down, walked me through what to do next, and I got home safe. When I expressed interest in getting a saxophone again a couple of years ago, true to his word, he bought it for me. When I called, he always picked up. He was someone who knew how to get things done, or someone who could do it. The job isn't finished until you've cleaned up your tools and workstation was often mentioned during do-it-yourself projects. To touch on his ability to speak to anyone combined with his good sense of humor, a memory I have is of a construction job taking place across the street from our family's home that was taking twice as long to finish as previously projected. I know, shocker. Curious to find out what was going on, Dad put on his high-vis vest, grabbed his clipboard, and a hard hat, and walked down the street. Some of the construction employees were likely a little freaked out, thinking there was a surprise site inspector, but he chatted them up, found out why it was taking so long, and then went back to visit them a few more times. Turns out they were sharing equipment with a different site, if anybody was wondering. Dad has always been intentional about his interactions and his generosity, shared far and wide. It's apparent in his early writings and through the people that are around us today. I may not have gotten to know Dad for as long as some of the others in this room, or known a different side of him than most. But what is abundantly clear was the love he shared through his actions and interactions. Going back to grief, because I've certainly not cried my last year, we gotta find somewhere to put all that love. So I hope leaving here today, we will take Dad's spirit forward and smile to the people you pass on the street. Hear a song in a different light, help someone who needs an extra hand, and exemplify a world that treats every person with kindness and as equal. Kel was predeceased by his father Herman, mother Esther, sister Vernell, brother-in-law Cornelius, and sister Karen. He is survived by his spouse Laura, daughters Emma and Kate, brothers Arnie, Waldo, and Karma, as well as beloved nieces, nephews, in-laws, cousins, and dear friends. Life is an amazing mystery, and death part of it. Where does that life force go? The spirit fly? Into the mystic? Into heaven? Into stardust? Into some aspect of creation too awesome to comprehend? Kel recorded my dad speaking at his 85th birthday, and we found the video. And because it was his birthday, nobody could interrupt you, Dad. Dad, you said, the Egyptians built their pyramids, giant monuments, in hopes of living forever. But it is not prescribed by nature that you live forever. It is for all or for none, and that holds for all of nature, in the seeds of plants, in all of life, of which we are a part. But there is a forever aspect to our existence. It is in the genetics of our being, in our DNA. It goes on from one generation to another, and through our genetic connection, we create something that goes on for a long time. How long? We don't know. And then there's memory. A moment relived, a bond, a tie that binds. So, we remain connected in insubstantial thought and in physical being through our family, our children. As for the rest, I don't know. I don't need to know more than this. Kel, you've gone on a walkabout into the great wide open. Someday, we'll go there too.
Cal's presence was a real gift. And his absence, a deep quiet. He will be missed immensely. I want to thank Prairie Theatre Exchange for welcoming us home, especially Wayne for generously hosting this gathering. Thank you to Debbie Patterson and Sick and Twisted for providing the live stream, and thank you, our family, our friends, for holding us in your thoughts and prayers through dark hours, and for keeping Cal's spirit in your memory.
This evening, as we say goodbye to Cal, we've taken time to rehearse stories of his life, to bear witness to the meaning of his life, and to allow his strengths to flow through into our stories. Laura, Kate, and Emma, they invite you to continue to share stories and memories and photos of Cal with them. And if you have a memory card like this, the information is on the bottom of the back of how to share those stories. And please do. They're very meaningful. Secondly, as you can see, the family's also collected memorabilia of Cal and really would like you to come and take a look at it and enjoy those memories. So after we are dismissed, and you've gone for a reception, please wander back in here and take a look. And thirdly, the family does invite you to enjoy refreshments together in the lobby. And there's enough space for all out in the lobby and also back here in the theater. After the family is dismissed, I invite you to enjoy the slideshow one more time, and that gives the family a moment to collect their thoughts and give each other hugs out in the lobby. Today in our gathering, in our music, in our words, we have embraced Cal. And now we move from embrace to release. This movement is a sign that to be human, we continue learning how to hold the living in love and how to release the deceased in hope. And so, as you are comfortable, I invite you to join your hand movements with mine as we say our last goodbye to Cal. Cal, we have loved you, and now we release you into life and death and mystery and love. Rest in peace.
treating you? Yeah. No, we're doing Oh, yeah, thanks, Peter. I thought I was going to be okay. I did it a couple of times at the house. Good thing I like that. So are you guys still in? Like
Are you getting stuff done at Papa's house?
good.
Pressure's off, Elle.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the show the other night. I
Did you guys write that collectively? Yeah. I'll try. Yeah. You'll try it. That's a good. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I love the pursuit. I'm so glad you brought that in. I thought it was perfect. No, no, it was perfect. Oh, he was so good.
Specific songs.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. And so we got it worked out. We were trying to get our friend who was coming in, Bob. I don't know if you know Bob Piper. We flew in from Toronto for tonight. We knew he played harmonica, and we tried to get him to play it.
But no.
No, it's been too long.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we?
Oh no, it was perfect. It was perfect. It was a Kel solution.
Exactly. We thought, that's what we thought. Kel would have liked it. We should maybe talk about it before we do it, just to give it a little context. We probably didn't have to set it up.
No, it's lovely. Yeah, lovely.
Thank you. Yeah. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm gonna go. We'll see if we can get you another one. Looking a little harder. I'm gonna dance. Go have a drink.
Yeah, maybe that.
Yeah. Did you get a ticket? Right.
Okay.
Yeah, on the Sick and Twisted website. Or on the YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
okay with looking. Yeah. Well, he's a teacher, but teaches the music. But it's still like so he has a right. Yeah. It's not. It's more like every 2 days, and then it's 2 days, maybe 3 days, right? So it's social. Yeah. So it's so you're there for 2 days, long days, and then so she has extra time, off. We blew out, but she can't necessarily stick with it. Like this morning, I was sitting on my and Holly was already there, visiting, and so it's just like, okay, so she has the time for it. So, and then because it's like Tuesday to Thursday, kind of, that she'll be around for weekends, and so she can we're doing yeah. I mean, it's not that, but I mean, it's upgraded, right? It's upgraded, fixing it all. So we got new seats, and that was great, but a little bit, yeah. There's going to be a bit of a subway, but then another restaurant come in there and go to wine bar kind of thing. So it'll be, and they'll service the shows, right? So
like her first thing after going from grade 8 to grade 5. Yeah.
gotta find artists.